Hi, I'm Paul Hinlicky. I teach historical and systematic theology at the Christ School of Theology in the graduate program particularly, and I've been involved with ILT on and off over the last 10 years. Well, that brings me way back to the beginning because already in college I had decided that I wanted to pursue an academic career. The difficulty was that when I received my PhD in 1983 from Union Seminary in New York, there were no jobs available, particularly for a straight white male with a rather conservative Lutheran theology. So I did, after a stint in Manhattan, working for the Department of Church and Society of the old Lutheran Church in America. I did what came next was parish ministry, where I had 8 happy years with a young family, revitalizing a rural congregation in upstate New York. Very happy time of our lives. Then came the call to Bratislava, Slovakia, to teach in the post-communist Protestant School of Divinity of Comenius University. And that was, again, a fascinating experience. I had to master a difficult Slovak language, which was in my heritage, but I only knew the peasant language of my grandparents, not what I needed to function on a university level. But I was able to do that and even successfully defended a habilitation writing for the second doctorate in that language. Then I came back in 1999 to America to teach for 22 years as an endowed professor at Roanoke College in the religion department. Well, when I was a student, I was inspired by an answer a professor gave to me who said, if you study theology, everything is relevant. Nothing is irrelevant. Everything is relevant to theology since God is the universal concept. I think he used some language like that. And that really excited me because I've always been a very curious person. And I've wanted to understand everything I could in relationship to the God of the gospel. So what do I study? Well, I guess I specialize in the history of Christian doctrine and contemporary, what is called systematic theology, though I want to rebrand that as something I call critical dogmatics. In the process, I've also been something of a Luther scholar. I was the co-editor of the Oxford Encyclopedia of Martin Luther with my friend and colleague Derek Nelson. So I've had my fingers in many pots: faith science dialogue, the philosophical theology, the interaction of theology with philosophy, and interfaith and interchristian ecumenical dialogues. Well, like I explained in the previous question, theology appealed to me because everything is relevant and I could satisfy all sorts of intellectual curiosities in relationship to the study of God. So that would be the big answer. But as to being a Luther scholar, I kind of fell into that. I was from seminary days greatly impressed by an independent study I did with a professor named John Grow, and he had me read Luther's mid-career writings, Confession Concerning Christ's Supper, that these words, "This is my body," may forever stand, The Bondage of the Will, concerning rebaptism, and Against the Heavenly Prophets. These treatises made an enormous impact upon me because they showed me a Luther other than the cliche of 20th century German scholarship that Luther was simply an existentialist, a forerunner of Kierkegaard and Bultmann or something like that. And so that launched me on kind of a secondary career in Luther studies. I've attended the Luther Congress, International Congress for Luther Research, a number of times and led seminar workshops at those meetings. And Right now, I'm the editor of a series of books from Cascade Press called Reconstruction in Lutheran Doctrinal Theology. So all of that is kind of things that have fallen upon me in the course of my wide-ranging curiosity about all sorts of stuff. Well, good question. My favorite class to teach is the required course in method in dogmatic theology. And I have to give a little background because over the years I've taught seminars on Robert Jensen's theology, Hegel, Pannenberg, Barth, one time on Anglican theology. So I've had a variety of experiences teaching students. And I came to the conclusion that what they needed was a richer grounding in the possibilities of method in theology as a discipline. So I created this course, which is a required course for all PhD students in theological method. And in it, we start at the beginning with the developments to the Nicene Creed, the doctrine of the Trinity, Christology in that light, then on through Augustine, the medieval period, Peter Lombard, Anselm, then through the Reformation period, and then into the Enlightenment, Kant and Schleiermacher, and then the neo-Orthodox reaction to that in Bonhoeffer particularly, and onto the contemporary scene, the so-called apocalyptic turn in theology, which is kind of a stance where I personally am calling for the renewal of the Lutheran tradition of dogmatics.